You made the decision, you committed, you went to bed feeling more aligned than you have ever felt in a long time. And the next morning, something happened that looked like everything you decided to believe was wrong. Most people take that as a sign or just stop. But in this video, I'm going to show you exactly why that is the opposite and why your glow up is inevitable. You're just in the in-between. Hey, my name is Shanique and this channel is about building internal success first, doing the real work on your nervous system, your identity, and the way you see yourself. So the life that you're building on the outside really has a solid foundation to land on. If that's the kind of work that you're doing, then I love it if you subscribe and keep growing with me. So let's talk about what actually happens when things get harder, when you actually start making a real commitment to yourself. For some of us who grow up in a high pressured environment, in household where lack and struggle was the baseline, those things necessarily didn't feel like a problem. It was normal. And you didn't question it because you didn't feel like there was anything to question. Difficulty was just how things were. Disrespect was something you navigated, or not having enough was just the reality that you woke up to every day. And now you're shifting. You're becoming more aware, more intentional, more honest with yourself about who you are and what you actually want. And that awareness creates a contrast. You start to see the gap between where you are and where you're going in a way that you couldn't see before. Because before you were inside it instead of seeing it. And that gap and the work it takes to close it can feel like harder. It's work. But what's actually happening is that you're awake and aware to what was happening before. That was always there. That's not regression. That's clarity. Now I want to say something here that I think is important, but I want to say it carefully. This is not about blame, not towards you, to yourself, towards the people or environment that shaped you. And there are real ways that people's actions and circumstances can affect the decisions that you made. That is completely valid, and I'm not dismissing any of that. But there's this point, and I think if you're watching this, you're either near or you're at this point where you have to make a choice of where you put your attention, because there's only so much you can put your focus towards, right? And giving it to what someone else did, said, or the circumstances that happened before, it keeps you oriented in the past, and the past can't build your future. And that's a form of accountability. And accountability here, the way I'm trying to explain it, isn't about beating yourself up about things you didn't know to do. It's about recognizing that now you do. And that means you get to choose differently. It means asking, what am I to do next, instead of why did this happen to me? Not because what happened to you, what happened wasn't real, but because you are too capable, you are too grown to be letting these things control and stop you. And I say that while holding your hand. Here's the most honest way I can explain how the glow up feels from the inside. It feels like riding a bike as an adult. And I mean that in the most real sense. Before you were working on anything, you were just reacting. You were responding from whatever pattern you had. You didn't have to or try to consciously decide how to respond in a conflict, or whether to speak up, or when to walk away, because the old pattern just took over automatically. It wasn't necessarily good, but it was automatic. And automatic feels easier than intentional, even if intentional is actually what you want. Now you're trying to do something different, and doing something different causes you to have to think about it. You have to make a conscious decision where before you would just automatically react. You have to say something you never said before, set a limit you never set before, or walk away in something that you would have stayed in. And it won't always come out perfectly. You don't walk away easily. The first time you speak up for yourself, you might be louder than you expected. The first time you set a limit with someone, it may create conflict because you never did it before and they weren't fully prepared for it. You might fall off the bike, but falling off isn't a reason to quit. Falling off is just data. It tells you something. Maybe you weren't looking straight. Maybe you just need more practice. And the more you get back on, the more you make more conscious decisions, the less wobbly you are, and the better you get at riding the bike. Eventually, you're not thinking about all the little steps anymore. It becomes automatic. That's what the glow up actually feels like from the inside. Not a smooth, effortless ascension. Doesn't matter how many Pilates, matchas you drink, this glow up hits different. So when the friction shows up, and it will, this is what I want you to do with it. First, stop giving it meaning the old pattern would have given it. The old pattern would read friction as confirmation that you're doing something wrong, that this isn't for you, that you should have stayed where you laid, that you should have stayed where you were. That is not the truth. That is just a familiar story trying to creep back in. The old script. Old patterns don't go quiet and without some resistance. Your body's still calibrating. The people around you are still adjusting to this version of you, the version of you that makes different decisions, that says no when you would have said yes. The circumstances in your life are rearranging to match the new direction in your life. All that takes time and can create friction. And if you watch the previous videos on this channel, the one about your nervous system running an old program and the one that your body needs to still catch up where your mind is already at, you're going to understand why your body is going to flag these resistance as a threat. That's because your body is still doing what it was trained to do. Give the new things, the new experiences, this time of recalibrating a new meaning, the meaning that serves who you're becoming, not a meaning that serves the old story. You are not the person who fell off the bike and stayed down. You are the person that fell off, asked what happened, how do I collect and use this information to do better the next time, and got right back on and learned how to ride Papa Willie, ride the sunsets on your bike. That's the whole practice. Things getting harder after you commit is not a sign you were wrong. It's a sign that you're finally doing something different, and different requires different skills, ones that you're learning in real times in actual conditions of real life. The friction is not a stop sign. It's just the resistance that comes with moving. Keep going. Before this video, every time things got harder right after you made a big decision, you read it as confirmation you're doing something wrong. Now you know that friction is just your old patterns trying to hold on for dear life. It's not evidence against you. It's evidence that something is actually shifting. So get on the bike. You fall less every time. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by commenting down below. And I specifically chose this video on screen for you. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sending love and so much strength. See you in my next one.